Every once in a while, a single day comes along that just completely changes the game for an entire industry. Well, for artificial intelligence, that day was April 8th, 2026. So what exactly went down on this one day that signaled such a fundamental shift? Let's get into it.
And really, this one sentence from the Daily AI Ledger just nails it. It perfectly captures what happened. See, this wasn't about some single, flashy new product. No, this was the day AI stopped being a cool sci-fi experiment and became a full-on industrial reality, with all the messy, real-world problems that come along with it.
So the big theme to wrap your head around here is this massive leap from experimentation over to production scale. We're going to break down 3 stories that all happened on this one day, and together they paint this incredible picture of a major pivot, from new AI engines all the way to the legal fights and global infrastructure needed to actually run them.
All right, first up, let's talk about the engines. To really operate on a global scale, AI needed a totally new class of software, and of course, the hardware to power it. This is where that first big piece of the puzzle falls into place.
So on this day, Microsoft and Publicis Group rolled out one of the biggest enterprise AI deployments we've ever seen. They launched this huge platform built on Microsoft Fabric and Copilot Studio. And the whole point was to let massive global brands use AI agents that could actually think, reason, make decisions, and take action. This wasn't just another chatbot. This was basically a new kind of workforce.
So what does this fancy term, agentic marketing, actually mean for you and me? Well, it's the beginning of the end for those dumb, repetitive ads that follow you all over the internet. Instead, you're going to start dealing with brand agents that actually get your history, understand what you need, and can handle real business tasks, not just flash another banner on your face.
But of course, you can't run this incredibly smart new software on old tech. It just doesn't work. These advanced AI agents, they needed a completely new kind of engine under the hood, something that could handle complex thinking constantly at an enormous scale. So, how'd they solve that problem?
Well, for years, GPUs were the workhorses of AI, right? But they were starting to become a real bottleneck, especially for this thinking AI we're talking about. The solution, announced on this exact day, was this awesome partnership between Intel and SambaNova. They created what they called a heterogeneous blueprint, which basically means they combined Intel's powerful Xeon processors with SambaNova's super specialized RDUs to create a system that was purpose-built for this new agentic AI.
Okay, so why should you care about all this hardware talk? It's simple, really. By smashing that GPU bottleneck, this new approach makes running thinking AI way, way cheaper. And that means the AI tools you use every single day for writing, for creating art, for learning, they're all going to get faster, a lot more powerful, and way more reliable. All because the engines behind them just got a massive upgrade.
Now, as AI gets woven deeper into our daily lives, a whole new kind of battle is starting to heat up. It's not about the hardware anymore, it's about the experience itself, and maybe more importantly, who gets to own it. And that brings us to the second major story of the day.
And this brings us to a huge, kind of controversial question at the heart of our next story. Can you actually patent a user experience? This whole thing blew up in the wearables industry with a lawsuit that sent some serious shockwaves through the tech world.
So Whoop, the big name in wearables, sued this AI health coach startup called Bevel. They claim Bevel basically copied the entire look and feel of their app's interface. Now, this wasn't about a piece of code, it was about the experience. And here's why that's such a big deal. If Whoop wins, it could make it way harder for new startups to build cool apps using existing health data. It might force real, deep innovation, which is good, but it could also just lock everyone into the platforms they already use. So while the lawyers were fighting over who owns the user interface, a totally different race was heating up, a technological one, over who could build the most powerful creative engine. The battlefield was shifting from just analyzing data to actually generating brand new creative things from scratch.
And seeing a huge opening here, Meta decided to jump right in. They unveiled their next-gen model, Muse Spark. And look, this wasn't just some minor update. This was a direct shot across the bow at the industry leaders. A model designed to go head-to-head with the most advanced systems out there by focusing on a totally new kind of creativity.
And that new capability is what they're calling agentic creativity. This is the next big leap, right? It's AI that lets you create pro-level images, video, even code, all in one smooth process. For anyone who creates stuff, it's literally like having a world-class creative director in a box ready to go whenever you are, a total game changer. Okay, so we've got the new software and the new hardware.
We've got the incredible new creative tools and the messy legal fights over how we use them. But there's one last crucial piece to this whole production-scale puzzle: the real-world, physical infrastructure, and the complicated politics of running AI across the entire planet.
I mean, just look at that number. $1.16 billion. With a B. That's how much ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, plowed into a single data center in Finland. And this wasn't just about expanding their business. No, this was a direct answer to some serious regulatory heat from the European Union about data privacy.
And this huge investment, it points to this really important trend toward what are called sovereign data hubs. The old idea of the internet as one big borderless cloud, that's kind of going away. Instead, it's becoming a network of regional hubs that keep your data local, which forces these big global apps to actually follow local laws. For you, it means your personal data is much more likely to stay in your own backyard, under rules you understand.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground here. New hardware, smarter software, legal drama, and giant data centers. So let's pull all these threads together and talk about what this big shift to production-scale AI actually means for you in your day-to-day life.
Here's the bottom line. What happened on this one day points to a brand new reality for all of us. You're going to get marketing that's actually personal, from agents that get you. The AI tools you already use are going to get way faster and more reliable. You'll have access to pro-level creative tools that used to be totally out of reach. And your personal data, it's going to be better protected by staying local.
So when you put it all together, the hardware, the software, the legal fights, the global infrastructure, the conclusion is pretty clear. April 8th, 2026 was the day AI finally shed its skin as a cool experiment and grew up, becoming a mature, powerful, and permanent part of our world. But with all of this new power, with this new maturity, comes a really big question. Now that AI is operating at this massive industrial scale, shaping how we buy things, how we create, how we talk to each other, who exactly is responsible for the consequences? And that's the challenge we're all going to be dealing with from here on out.